The first time my wife asked me to raise another man's child, she didn't look guilty. She didn't look ashamed. She didn't even look like she thought she had done anything wrong. She just placed a folder on the table and pushed it toward me. Ethan, sign it. I looked down at the document. For a moment, I thought it was another mission report, something related to her work. Something I had helped her prepare countless times during the past 3 years. But when I opened it, my fingers froze. It was a parental responsibility agreement. An MY name was written at the top, Ethan Walker, and below it was a child's information. A child that wasn't mine. I slowly raised my head. Are you serious? Olivia Walker sat across from me, still wearing her captain uniform. The same uniform that made thousands of people respect her. The same uniform that made strangers believe she was someone who could never make a mistake. She crossed her arms. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I stared at her, at my wife. The woman I had loved for 7 years. The woman I had supported when nobody believed she could reach the position she had today. And now she was calmly asking me to become the father of another man's child. Harder? I repeated. You brought another man's child into our marriage, Olivia. Her expression changed slightly. Not because she felt sorry, because she was annoyed that you're focusing on the wrong thing. I almost laughed. The wrong thing? Yes. She leaned forward. The child is innocent. I looked at the paper again. The words felt unreal. You're right. The child is innocent. I placed the document back on the table. But I didn't create this situation. Her eyes became colder. Ethan, that tone. I knew that tone. It was the same tone she used when she gave orders during difficult operations. The tone that expected everyone to obey. You knew my life was complicated. I looked at her. Complicated? Yes. She didn't avoid my eyes. You knew my career required sacrifices. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Your career? I pointed at the document. This has nothing to do with your career. She stood up. Everything I do affects my career. There it was. The truth. Not an apology. Not regret. Not even an explanation. Her career came first. Always. I leaned back in my chair. Who is the father? Silence. For 3 seconds. 0.5 seconds. 0.10 seconds. Olivia didn't answer. She didn't need to. I already knew. There was only one person. Daniel Carter. Her assistant. The man who suddenly appeared beside her 6 months ago. The man who everyone said was just helping Captain Walker manage her workload. The man who started attending meetings that I used to attend. The man who suddenly knew details about projects that even I wasn't allowed to discuss. I looked at her. Daniel. Her silence confirmed everything. I closed my eyes for a moment. 0.7 years. 0.7 years of marriage. 0.7 years of believing that no matter how powerful she became, we were still partners, apparently. I was the only one who believed that. Does he know? Olivia looked away. Yes, and he is not ready. I stared at her. Not ready. That was her excuse. Not ready to become a father. Not ready to face responsibility. But somehow, I was supposed to be ready to become a replacement. You came to me. Yes, because you thought I would accept? Her expression hardened. Because I thought you loved me. That sentence hurt more than anything else. Not because it was emotional, because it was manipulation. She wasn't saying she loved me. She was saying my love should force me to accept humiliation. I slowly stood. Love doesn't mean I have no limits. Olivia's face changed. You're refusing? Yes. The room became silent. For the first time in years, I saw something I had rarely seen from her. Angered. You're really going to abandon a child? No. I looked directly at her. I'm refusing to pretend something is mine when it isn't. Her voice became sharper. You're selfish. I almost couldn't believe it. Me. Selfish. The man who had spent years putting her first. The man who turned down opportunities because she needed someone beside her. The man who stayed behind while she climbed higher. I smiled. Not because it was funny, because suddenly everything became clear. You know what's interesting? What? For years, everyone said you were lucky to have me. Her expression changed slightly, but I never believed them. I picked up my jacket because I thought I was lucky to have you. I walked toward the door. Apparently, I was wrong. Ethan. I stopped. Her voice was colder now. If you walk away from this, don't expect me to forgive you. I turned around. Forgive me? Yes. She looked at me. You're choosing pride over family. I stared at the woman standing in front of me. The woman I once wanted to spend my entire life with. Then I said something that surprised even myself. Olivia, I'm choosing reality over your lie. 3 days later, I learned that Olivia had decided to use her authority against me. Not because I had broken any rules, not because I had harmed anyone, but because I refused to accept another man's child. The first sign came when my access was suddenly restricted. My accounts connected to several shared resources were frozen. My communication devices stopped working. At first, I thought it was an internal error, until two people arrived at my apartment. They weren't there to discuss anything. They were there with orders. Mr. Walker, you need to come with us. I looked at the documents in their hands. My name. My information. My wife's authorization. I laughed, not loudly, just enough for them to hear. Olivia actually signed this? Nobody answered. That was answer enough. I picked up my coat. Before leaving, I looked back at the apartment, the place where Olivia and I had promised each other forever. The place where I had spent countless nights helping her prepare plans. The place where she once told me, Ethan, without you, I would never become who I am. Funny, because now she was using everything she became to destroy me. The room they placed me in was small. No windows, no personal items. Just a table and a chair. I sat there for hours, thinking, not about revenge. Not yet. I was thinking about one question. When did Olivia stop seeing me as her husband? When did I become nothing more than a convenient tool? The answer came quickly. It was the day Daniel entered her life. First, I ignored the rumors. I trusted her. People around us warned me. They told me, Ethan, your wife changed. I defended her. She is under pressure. She has more responsibility now. She just needs support. I made excuses for her every single time, until there were no excuses left. A few hours later, the door opened. Olivia walked in, still wearing her uniform, still looking powerful, still believing she controlled everything. She sat across from me. I gave you time to calm down. I looked at her. Did you come here to apologize? Silence. Then, no, I smiled. Of course not. She didn't come because she regretted hurting me. She came because she wanted something. I need your cooperation. There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not are you okay? Just another request. What do you need? She looked directly at me. Sign the agreement. I stared at her. Even now, after everything, she still thought the problem was my signature, not her betrayal. I leaned forward. Olivia, yes? Do you know what the worst part is? She didn't answer. But it's not that you had a child with another man. Her eyes moved slightly. It's that you truly believed I would accept it. For the first time, her confidence disappeared for a second. Only a second. Then she recovered. You'll regret this. I looked at her. No, I shook my head. You will. She stood up. We'll see. Then she left. The door closed, and I sat alone. But what Olivia didn't know was that being locked away from the world was the biggest mistake she had ever made. Because for 3 years, I had remained silent. I had allowed everyone to believe Olivia Walker built everything herself. I had allowed Daniel Carter to take credit for things he didn't create. I had allowed people to forget my name. But now they had given me a reason to stop hiding. And somewhere inside my old files there was a report that could destroy everything Olivia and Daniel had built. A report that I had buried because I loved my wife. But love was gone, and the truth was finally ready to come out. The first night inside that room, I didn't sleep. Not because I was afraid, not because I was angry, because I was finally putting every piece together. For years, I had ignored the obvious signs, the late-night messages, the sudden changes in Olivia's schedule, the way Daniel became the first person she called whenever something happened. I noticed everything. I just refused to believe it. That was my mistake. I had spent 7 years believing marriage meant protecting each other. Olivia had spent the last 6 months proving that, to her, marriage only mattered when it benefited her. The next morning, the door opened. A man walked in. Daniel Carter, the person who had replaced me without even needing to ask. He wasn't wearing the same uniform as Olivia. He wasn't important enough to stand beside her officially. But somehow, he had already taken my place. He walked in with a confident smile, the kind of smile people had when they thought they had already won. Ethan. I looked at him. Daniel. He sat down across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he smiled. I didn't want things to become like this. I almost laughed. People always said that when they had already caused everything. You didn't want this? He sighed. Olivia made her choice. I stared at him. Interesting that he wasn't denying anything. That he was proud. You mean she chose you? He nodded. She chose the person who understands her. I leaned back. And that person is you? Yes. He didn't hesitate. That was the difference between us. I still remembered Olivia as the woman I loved. He only saw her as a prize. You know what's funny? Daniel frowned. What? For someone who claims to understand her, you don't seem to know her at all. His smile disappeared slightly. What does that mean? It means you think Olivia chose you because she loves you. I looked him in the eyes. But Olivia doesn't choose people because she loves them. He became silent. She chooses people who make her feel powerful. Daniel's expression hardened. You're just jealous. No, I shook my head. I'm disappointed. He stood. You should accept reality. I looked at him. Reality? Yes. He adjusted his jacket. You lost. There was confidence in his voice. Absolute confidence. Because he believed the story Olivia created. He believed I was the husband who refused responsibility. He believed he was the man who saved her. He believed everything he had was earned. That was the most dangerous kind of ignorance. The kind that made people fearless. I smiled. Enjoy believing that. He frowned. What? Nothing. I looked away. Because there was no point explaining. People like Daniel never listened until the moment. Everything collapsed. 3 days passed. During those 3 days, Olivia continued controlling the situation. She released a statement to the people around her. Not publicly. Not officially. Just enough. Just enough for everyone to hear her version first. According to her, I was unwilling to support her. I was refusing to accept a child who needed help. I was acting emotionally. And because Olivia was respected, most people believed her. That was the advantage of reputation. When someone powerful told a story, people rarely questioned it, especially when the person they blamed was quiet. But Olivia forgot one thing. Silence was not weakness. Sometimes silence was preparation. On the 4th day, someone else came to see me. Not Olivia. Not Daniel. A woman I recognized immediately. Rachel Morgan. Olivia's closest advisor. She sat across from me. Unlike Daniel, she didn't look confident. She looked uncomfortable. Ethan, Rachel. She placed a folder on the table. I want you to understand something. I looked at the folder. What? Olivia believes she is protecting everyone. I smiled. Everyone. Rachel looked down. She believes Daniel made a mistake, but she wants to give him another chance. And what about me? She didn't answer. That told me everything. I nodded. I see. Rachel sighed. You two were different before. Yes. She used to talk about you all the time. I looked at her. She used to. The past tense was painful. Rachel hesitated. Ethan, if you cooperate, maybe things can still be repaired. I looked at her. Repair what? She remained silent. The marriage? No answer. The trust? Nothing. The fact that my wife chose another man and then punished me for refusing to accept it. Rachel looked away. Because she knew. Everyone knew. They just didn't want to admit it. I pushed the folder back. I'm not signing anything. Rachel looked surprised. You know what happens if you refuse? Yes. And you're still refusing? I nodded. Absolutely. She stood. Before leaving, she stopped. Ethan. Yes? Why are you so calm? I looked at her because she was asking the wrong question. The real question was, why did everyone assume I had nothing left? I answered, because I know something you don't. What? I smiled slightly. Olivia thinks this is the end. I looked at the closed door, but she has no idea it's actually the beginning. That night, I finally accessed the one thing I had been trying not to think about, the old report. The report I created 3 years ago. Back then, Olivia and I were different. We were partners. Not just legally. Actually partners. She trusted my judgment. She trusted my ability. During that time, Olivia was assigned to lead a major expansion project. Everyone believed it would become the biggest achievement of her career, but I noticed problems. Numbers didn't match. Information disappeared. Several decisions made no logical sense. I investigated quietly. What I discovered shocked me. Someone inside the project was manipulating information. Someone was using Olivia's position. At first, I thought it was someone trying to hurt her. Then I found the name. Daniel Carter. Back then, Daniel was nobody. A junior assistant. Someone nobody paid attention to. But he had already started building connections. And he had one advantage. He knew Olivia trusted him. The report contained everything. Every conversation. Every modified record. Every suspicious action. I finished the investigation. Then I made a choice. I buried it. Why? Because Olivia asked me to. I still remembered that night. She stood in front of me. Tired, frustrated, scared. Ethan, please. I asked. What are you asking me? She held my hand. Don't destroy someone's future because of a mistake. I believed her. I destroyed my own evidence. I protected Daniel. I protected Olivia. I protected the future I thought we had. And now, that same future had become the weapon used against me. I opened the file. The last page was still there. The conclusion point 3 years ago, I wrote, Daniel Carter represents a serious risk. His actions may eventually compromise the entire project. I stared at those words. Point 3 years ago that I had already seen the truth that I just refused to accept it. I closed the report. Then I made a decision. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. The next day, Olivia came again. This time, she wasn't alone. Daniel was with her. They walked in together. That image told me everything. They wanted me to understand. They wanted me to see that they were united. Olivia sat down. Ethan. I looked at both of them. Yes, she placed another document on the table. This is your final chance. I looked at it. Another agreement, another demand, another attempt to make me accept their choices. Daniel crossed his arms. You should stop fighting. I ignored him. I looked at Olivia. Do you really think I'm fighting? She frowned. What else would you call this? I smiled. I call it waiting. Daniel laughed. Waiting for what? I looked at him. For you to make one more mistake. His smile disappeared. Olivia stared at me. You think you're in control? No, I shook my head. I know I am. The room became silent. For the first time, Olivia looked uncertain. Only briefly, but I saw it. The first crack. Because deep down, she knew something was wrong. She knew Ethan Walker had never been this calm. She knew I was hiding something. She just didn't know what I stood. Olivia. What? When this is over, I looked at Daniel. Don't say I didn't warn you. Then I walked away. Behind me, I heard Daniel say, he's bluffing. Maybe, maybe not. But there was one thing they didn't understand. A person with nothing left to lose was dangerous. And a person who had spent years hiding his true power was even more dangerous. Because when he finally stopped hiding, everyone would remember his name. Ethan Walker. The biggest mistake Olivia Walker ever made was believing that power meant control. She believed because she wore the captain badge, everyone had to follow her. She believed because people respected her name, nobody would question her decisions. Most importantly, she believed because I had stayed silent for years, I would stay silent forever. She was wrong. But before I exposed everything, I wanted to see how far she was willing to go. I wanted to know exactly how much of me she was willing to sacrifice for Daniel Carter. And unfortunately, the answer came faster than I expected. 3 days after my confinement began, Olivia made her first public move. She organized a private meeting with several senior members of her team. I wasn't invited. That alone wasn't surprising. What surprised me was the reason. According to the message I received later, Olivia introduced Daniel as someone who would take over important responsibilities. My responsibilities. The same responsibilities I had handled quietly for years. The same projects I had helped her build from nothing. Daniel was standing where I used to stand, and Olivia was the one who put him there. When Rachel told me what happened, she looked uncomfortable. Ethan, you need to understand something. I looked at her. What? Olivia believes Daniel is her future. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. Her future? Rachel nodded. She thinks he understands her ambition better than anyone. I stared at the wall. 7 years, 7 years of marriage. And she believed a man who appeared 6 months ago understood her better than the person who stood beside her through everything. Did she say anything about me? Rachel hesitated. That hesitation told me enough. Rachel, she sighed. She said you changed. I almost smiled. I changed? Yes, she really said that. Rachel looked down. She said you became too emotional. That you were letting personal feelings affect your judgment. I closed my eyes. There was something almost impressive about Olivia. Her ability to rewrite reality. She had betrayed me. She had asked me to raise another man's child. She had locked me away because I refused. And somehow I was the emotional one. Did she mention Daniel? Rachel became quiet. Ethan, did she? Finally, she answered. She said Daniel is willing to take responsibility. I looked at her. Interesting. What? Daniel is willing to take responsibility. I repeated the sentence. But somehow I'm the one being punished. Rachel had no answer. Because there was no answer. Later that evening, Daniel visited me again. This time, he didn't come alone. 2 assistants followed him. That was new. He wanted to show status. He wanted me to understand that his position had changed. He sat down. You look tired. I looked at him. Are you here to check on me? He smiled. No, of course not. I came because Olivia wants me to talk to you. I almost laughed. She sent you? Yes. Not surprising. Daniel leaned forward. Ethan, you need to accept that things are different now. I said nothing. He continued. Olivia has a responsibility. I looked at him. To. He ignored my question. To the child. There it was again. The same excuse. The child. The innocent child everyone used as a shield. That I looked at Daniel. Oh, you actually care about the child? His face changed. Only for a second, but I noticed. What kind of question is that? A simple one. I leaned forward. If you cared so much, why did you ask another man to raise your child? Silence. His expression hardened. You think you're better than me? No, I shook my head. I know I am. He laughed. You really still think you have power? I looked at him. Why wouldn't I? Because Olivia chose me. That sentence. That was the sentence he wanted to say. The sentence he had been waiting to say. That he wanted to hurt me. He wanted to prove he won. You spent years supporting her. He smiled. But I'm the person she wants beside her. I studied him. Then I asked, do you know why she chose you? He frowned. Because she loves me. I shook my head. No, his smile disappeared. She chose you because you make her feel admired. I continued. She doesn't love you. She loves the version of herself she sees when she's with you. Daniel stood. You're pathetic. Maybe he believed that. Maybe he needed to believe that, because admitting the truth would destroy him. You know what your biggest problem is, Daniel? He looked at me. You think you replaced me. I smiled. But you never understood something. What? You were never replacing me. I paused. You were replacing the person Olivia wanted me to become. His face changed. What does that mean? It means Olivia didn't choose you. Because you were better. I looked directly at him. She chose you because you were easier. The room became silent. Daniel's hands tightened. You should be careful. About what? You don't have the position you used to have. I smiled. Neither do you. He stared at me. For a moment, he looked confused, then angry. You're bluffing. I didn't answer, because the truth was I wasn't bluffing. Not even close. That night, I received something unexpected. An old message from Olivia. A message she sent 2 years ago. I stared at the screen. Ethan, I don't know what I would do without you. I remembered that day. She had just failed an important evaluation. Everyone doubted her. Everyone believed she wasn't ready. But I stayed. I helped her rebuild her entire strategy. I spent 30 hours reviewing documents. I found mistakes nobody noticed. I gave her the solution, and she succeeded. That night, she hugged me and said, you saved me. I believed those words. I believed our relationship was stronger than anything. But now, the same woman who said I saved her was the woman who tried to destroy me. I deleted the message. Not because I hated her, because I finally accepted something. The Olivia who loved me no longer existed. The woman standing against me now was someone else. Someone who believed power mattered more than loyalty. Someone who believed she could use me and throw me away. Someone who had forgotten one important fact. I was never just her husband. I was the reason her empire stood. And soon she would learn the difference. The next morning, Olivia made her biggest mistake. She underestimated how much people noticed. For years, Olivia had built a reputation around one image: the brilliant captain, the fearless leader, the woman who always made the right decision. But every powerful person has one weakness. They start believing their own legend. Olivia believed everyone admired her. She believed everyone would accept whatever explanation she gave. She forgot something. People might respect power, but they remember betrayal, especially when the person being betrayed spent years helping that power exist. When Rachel came to see me again, her expression was different. The confidence she had before was gone. She placed a tablet on the table. Ethan, you need to see this. I looked at the screen. It was a recording from a meeting. Olivia was standing in front of several department leaders. Daniel was beside her. She looked completely comfortable, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't destroyed the man who spent years protecting her. Everyone, Olivia said in the recording, I want to introduce Daniel Carter as the new strategic coordinator. I watched silently. Rachel looked at me. I thought you should know. I continued watching. Daniel stepped forward. I'm honored to receive Captain Walker's trust. Trust. That word almost made me laugh. Daniel looked like a man who had just inherited a kingdom, but he didn't know something. The kingdom he was standing on was built on a foundation he never understood. Then Olivia continued. There have been some personal misunderstandings recently. My expression changed. Personal misunderstandings. That was how she described it. Not betrayal. Not deception. Not the fact that she asked her husband to raise another man's child. A misunderstanding. I want everyone to understand Ethan's current situation is unrelated to professional matters. I stared at the screen. That sentence was carefully chosen. She wanted to appear fair. She wanted everyone to believe she was separating personal feelings from work. But the reality was different. She had already replaced me. She had already taken my position. She had already rewritten the story. Rachel whispered, "She is trying to protect her image." I nodded. "Yes. Are you angry?" I looked at her. No. Rachel seemed surprised. No. I shook my head. Anger is useful when you need to react. I looked at the screen, but I don't need to react anymore. Then what are you going to do? I turned off the tablet. I'm going to let her continue. Rachel frowned. Continue? Yes. Why? I smiled. Because the higher someone climbs while standing on a lie, I paused, the harder they fall when the truth appears. That afternoon, Olivia contacted me. Not through a message, not through someone else. Personally. The door opened. She walked in alone. For the first time since everything happened, she didn't look completely confident. Only slightly. But I noticed. Ethan. I looked at her. Olivia. She sat down. We need to talk. I almost smiled. That sentence used to mean something. Before, when we had problems, we talked. Now, talking had become another strategy. What do you want? She looked at me. I want you to stop making this difficult. There it was. Not an apology. Not regret. A request. Again. I leaned back. Explain difficult. You know exactly what I mean. No. I looked at her. I don't. Her expression became colder. You are hurting everyone. I stared at her. Everyone? Yes. The child? Yes. Daniel? She hesitated. Only briefly. But enough? And you? She didn't answer. That was all I needed. I nodded. I understand. What? You care about? Everyone except me. Her face changed. That's not fair. I laughed quietly. Fair? I looked at her. You want to talk about fair? She became silent. You had a relationship with another man. Silence. You brought his child into our marriage. Silence. You asked me to accept it. Silence. And when I refused, you locked me away. My voice remained calm. But I'm the unfair one. For the first time, Olivia looked uncomfortable. Ethan. No. I stopped her. I spent years understanding you. I looked directly at her. Now it's your turn. To understand me. She didn't speak. Oh, I continued. I am not angry because you chose Daniel. Her eyes moved slightly. I am angry because you believed I was so worthless that I would accept anything. That sentence hit harder than I expected because she had no answer. A person can defend a mistake. A person can defend a decision. But it's difficult to defend disrespect. After a long silence, Olivia finally spoke. Oh, you still love me? The question surprised me. Not because she asked, because she asked it. Now, after everything. I looked at her, the woman who used to be my home, the woman who used to be my reason to keep fighting. Then I answered honestly. I don't know. Her eyes changed. That was the first time I saw fear. Not anger. Not pride. Fear, because Olivia finally realized something. She could lose me. Not the husband who waited. Not the man who forgave everything. Me. The real Ethan Walker. The person she had forgotten. You don't know? I nodded. Because the person I loved wouldn't do this. She looked away. For a moment, she looked like the Olivia from years ago. The woman who smiled when we cooked together. The woman who held my hand before difficult moments. The woman who promised, whatever happens, we face it together. But that woman disappeared. And Olivia knew it. Before leaving, she stopped. Ethan. Yes? If you cooperate. I smiled. She still didn't understand. Even now. Even after everything. She was still trying to negotiate. If I cooperate, you can come back. I looked at her. Come back? Yes. She spoke like she was offering me something valuable, like returning to my marriage was a reward, like I should be grateful. I asked. Back to what? She didn't answer. Back to being the man who accepts everything. Silence. Back to pretending Daniel doesn't exist. Silence. Back to pretending you didn't choose him. Her face became pale. I stood in awe. Olivia. I walked toward the door. There is no coming back. She looked at me. Ethan. I stopped. Then I said, the person who walked into this room hoping to fix things. I turned around. Is not the same person who walked out of our house. Then I left. That night, I finally made my first move. Not a big one. Not dramatic. Just one message. To someone who had been waiting for 3 years. The message contained only 5 words. Release the sealed report. I placed the phone down. For 3 years, I protected Olivia. For 3 years, I protected Daniel. For 3 years, I allowed everyone to believe I was just the man standing behind her. Now, they would learn the truth. The world would finally know. Something Olivia never understood. She wasn't successful because she was powerful. She was powerful because someone powerful chose to stand beside her. And she just destroyed the only person who would have protected her. The next morning, everything changed. The first sign was a phone call. Then another. Then another. People who had ignored me for years suddenly wanted to speak. People who believed Olivia's story suddenly had questions. Because a document had appeared, a document nobody expected. A document with my name on it. A document that contained 3 years of secrets. And at the top of that document was one sentence. Final investigation report. Daniel Carter's unauthorized manipulation of project data. But that was only the beginning. Because the report didn't only mention Daniel, it mentioned Olivia. And when Olivia saw the complete version, she would finally understand. The man she locked away was the only person who could have saved her. The first call came at 6:13 in the morning. I knew it would, because once the truth started moving, nobody could stop it. I looked at the unknown number on the screen for several seconds. 3 years ago, I would have answered immediately. Back then, every problem involving Olivia felt like my responsibility. Her reputation, her career, her future, everything. But now, I let the phone ring, then ring again, then a third time. Only after the third call did I answer. Ethan Walker. A familiar voice came from the other side. Ethan, it's Michael. I knew exactly who. He was Michael Hayes, the person who had helped me secure the original investigation records 3 years ago, the person who knew the truth before everyone else. Good morning, Michael. There was a pause. Then he said, the report has been released. I looked out the window. For the first time in days, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness, not satisfaction, just peace. Because a burden I had carried alone for 3 years was finally no longer mine. What is the reaction? Michael laughed quietly. Exactly. What you expected. Confusion, panic. I nodded. Who saw it first? Daniel. I wasn't surprised. His reaction? Michael hesitated. Ethan, you should probably see it yourself. I smiled. That meant Daniel had lost control. And a person like Daniel losing control was dangerous. What did he do? He tried to deny everything. Of course, that he said the report was fabricated. I shook my head. That was his first mistake. What do you mean? I looked at the document in front of me. The report contains information only 3 people knew. Michael became silent. Daniel wasn't one of them. Exactly. A liar could deny a story, but he couldn't deny facts he never knew existed. 3 years ago, before Olivia became Captain Walker, before Daniel became her favorite person, everything was different. Back then, Olivia and I were partners, real partners, not just husband and wife. Partners. She trusted my judgment. I trusted her ambition. That combination made us unstoppable. At least, that's what I believed. The project that changed everything was called the Horizon Initiative. It was supposed to become the biggest achievement of Olivia's career. Thousands of people were involved. Millions of dollars were invested. Everyone wanted credit. Everyone wanted influence. And because Olivia was the face of the project, everyone believed she was responsible for its success. But what nobody knew was that I built the foundation. I created the system. I designed the analysis model. I found the problems. I solved the problems. Olivia presented the results, and I was happy with that. Because I loved her. I didn't need recognition. I didn't need people knowing my name. I only wanted her to succeed. That was my biggest mistake. I thought love meant supporting someone without expecting anything. I didn't realize some people would eventually mistake support for weakness. When the report became public, Olivia called me. Not once. Not twice. 7 times. I watched every call, every notification, every attempt. 7 years ago, I would have answered the first time. 3 months ago, I would have answered the second time. Now, I waited. Finally, I received a message. Ethan, we need to talk. I looked at the screen. Then another message appeared. Please. That word caught my attention. Please. Olivia rarely used that word. Not with me. Not anymore. I replied with one sentence. About what? Her response came immediately. You know what? I smiled. Yes, she knew. For the first time. Olivia Walker knew exactly what she had done. I waited 5 minutes. Then replied. No, Olivia. I want to hear you say it. A minute passed. 2 minutes. 3 then. The report. I stared at the message. There it was. Not the child. Not our marriage. Not the damage she caused. The report. That was what scared her. Not losing me. Losing everything else. I placed the phone down. Exactly as expected. Later that afternoon, Olivia came again. This time, she looked different. Not weak. Olivia was never weak. But the confidence was gone. She entered the room. No Daniel. No assistant. No people around her. Just her. And for a moment, I remembered the woman I married. Then I remembered the woman who locked me away. Ethan. Olivia. She looked at me. You released it. Yes. Her breathing changed. Why? I stared at her. The question almost seemed ridiculous. Why? Yes. She stepped closer. You knew what this would do. I nodded. Yes. You knew it would affect my career. Yes. You knew it would affect Daniel. Yes. Her eyes became sharper. Then why? I looked at her. Because you already knew the truth. She froze. What? You knew Daniel was a problem. No, I interrupted. You did. She shook her head and, oh, Ethan, you found the first warning signs. Silence. You saw the irregular records. Silence. You saw the missing information. Silence. And you chose to ignore them. Her expression changed. Because she knew I was right. I trusted him. I nodded. Yes. And that was my mistake. No, I looked at her. That wasn't your mistake. She frowned. What was? You trusted him more than you trusted me. The room became quiet. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Olivia said, you should have told me. I looked at her. About what? The report. I laughed. Not loudly. But enough? You want to know why I didn't? She remained silent. Because 3 years ago, I loved you. Her eyes moved. I thought protecting you mattered more than being right. I stepped closer. I destroyed my own evidence because you asked me. She looked down. And now I continued. Now you're asking why I stopped protecting you. She had no answer. For the first time, Olivia looked at the report in my hands. Not as a problem, not as evidence, but as a reminder. A reminder of what I had done for her. She whispered, I didn't know. I looked at her. Yes, I didn't know you carried all of this. Yes, I didn't know how much you sacrificed. I smiled slightly. That was because you never asked. Her eyes became red. But I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. Because I had spent 3 years comforting someone who never considered my pain. I thought you were just helping me. I nodded. I was. She looked up. Then why did you hide your ability? That question was interesting. Because even now, she still didn't understand. I answered. Because I never wanted to compete with my wife. Silence. I wanted to stand beside her. I looked directly at her. But you wanted someone who would stand behind you. That sentence hurt her. I knew it did. Because it was the truth. Olivia left 20 minutes later. She didn't argue. She didn't threaten. She didn't give orders. She simply walked away. And that was the first time I realized something. The woman who believed she controlled everything finally understood she had lost control. But she still didn't know the biggest secret. The report she saw was only the beginning. Because 3 years ago, when I investigated Daniel, I didn't only find evidence against him. I found something much bigger. Something connected to Olivia herself. Something she had no idea existed. And when that truth came out, the report would no longer be the thing that destroyed her. It would only be the first crack. The day after the report was released, Olivia Walker's world began changing. Not collapsing. Not yet. People like Olivia never fell immediately. They had too much pride, too much influence, too many people around them who benefited from their success. But cracks had appeared, and once cracks appeared in a foundation, the entire structure became unstable. The first person to notice was Daniel. Of course it was Daniel, because unlike Olivia, Daniel didn't have years of reputation protecting him. He had only one thing: her trust. And when that trust started becoming a question mark, he panicked. I learned about it from Rachel. She arrived late in the afternoon. This time, she didn't bring any documents. She didn't bring advice. She simply sat across from me. Ethan. Yes? Daniel wants to meet you. I looked at her. No, she seemed surprised. No? No, why? I smiled. Because he doesn't want to talk. Rachel frowned. Then what does he want? He wants to know how much I know. She stayed silent. Because she knew I was right. People like Daniel never wanted a conversation. They wanted information. They wanted to measure the damage. They wanted to know if they could still escape. Ethan. What? Do you hate him? The question was unexpected. I thought about it 0.3 months ago. Maybe 0.3 years ago. Definitely not. Daniel had never been important enough to hate. He was only dangerous because someone else gave him power. No, Rachel looked surprised. No. I shook my head. I don't hate Daniel. Then what do you feel? I looked at the report on the table. Nothing, she studied. Me. You really feel nothing? Yes. Because hatred meant someone still mattered. And Daniel no longer mattered to me. He was simply a consequence, not a consequence of Olivia's choices. That evening, Daniel came anyway. I expected him. People like him rarely accepted rejection. The door opened. He walked in alone. No confidence this time. No arrogant smile. No performance. Just anxiety. That was new. He sat down. Ethan. I looked at him. Daniel. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then, you knew. I didn't answer. He continued. You knew everything. I leaned back. Everything about what? His expression changed. You're still pretending? No, I looked at him. I'm giving you a chance to say it yourself. His jaw tightened. The report. I nodded. Yes. He stared at me. Why did you keep it? That question surprised me. Not because he asked. Because he asked the wrong thing. You mean why did I not destroy you 3 years ago? He remained silent. Yes. I smiled. Because I wasn't trying to destroy anyone. Daniel laughed. A bitter laugh. You expect me to believe that? I don't care whether you believe it. That answer made him uncomfortable. Because for the first time, he realized something. I no longer needed his approval. I had everything. His voice became lower. I had Olivia's trust. Yes. I had opportunities. Yes. I was finally becoming someone. I looked at him. And you thought you deserved it. He looked away. I worked hard. No, I shook my head. You worked around people. His face changed. What does that mean? It means you never built anything. I pointed at the report. You found someone successful and stood close enough to take credit. Daniel stood. You think you're better because you stayed hidden? No, I looked at him. I think I'm different because I never needed someone else's achievements to prove my value. Silence. That sentence hit him harder than an insult, because deep down, he knew. Then he said something I didn't expect. Olivia loves me. I looked at him. There it was. The thing he needed to believe. The reason he was willing to destroy everything. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Is it? His expression hardened. Yes. I nodded. Then answer one question. What? If Olivia lost everything tomorrow, I paused. Would you still stay? His confidence disappeared. Only for a moment, but I saw it. And that was enough. Because I knew the answer to S.O. Did he? I continued. If she was no longer Captain Walker, silenced. If she had no influence, silenced. If she had nothing to give you, I looked directly at him. Would you still choose her? He didn't answer. He couldn't. Because his relationship with Olivia was built on admiration, not loyalty. And admiration disappeared when power disappeared. After Daniel left, I received another message. This one was from Olivia. Meet me tomorrow. I ignored it. A minute later. Please. I stared at the screen. The same word. Again, the woman who once gave commands was now asking. Interesting, but I still didn't answer. Because there was something I needed to do first. Something I had delayed for too long. I opened an encrypted file. The file name was simple. Project Horizon Internal Review Final Version. Most people thought the report I released was the complete truth. It wasn't. It was only the part involving Daniel. The part one was willing to reveal first. Because the second part involved Olivia. And that was the reason I had kept everything hidden for 3 years. Not because I was afraid, because I was protecting her. When I opened the second file, the first line appeared. Additional findings. Unauthorized decisions approved by senior leadership. My fingers stopped. Even after everything, seeing her name still hurt. Not because I loved her. That feeling was gone. But because I remembered who she used to be. The woman who sat beside me at midnight. The woman who told me, one day, when I succeed, I want everyone to know you were the reason. The woman who later acted like I was nothing. I continued reading. The evidence was clear. Daniel manipulated information, but Olivia approved certain decisions. She didn't create the problem, but she helped hide it. She protected him. She chose him again and again. The same pattern, the same choice. Daniel first. Everyone else second. Me last. The next morning, I met Olivia. She arrived earlier than me. That alone surprised me. Olivia was never early. She believed important people should be waited for. But today she was waiting. I sat down. She looked tired, not physically, emotionally. Ethan. Yes? I read everything. I nodded. I know. She looked at me. You know? Yes. How? I smiled. Because you're not here to ask about the report. She became quiet. You're here because you saw your name. Her expression changed, and I knew I was right. She wasn't afraid of Daniel's mistake. She was afraid of her own choices. I didn't do what he did. I looked at her. No, she seemed relieved. Then I continued. But you allowed it. The relief disappeared. I trusted him. No, I shook my head. You trusted the version of yourself he created. She looked confused. What does that mean? It means Daniel made you feel like you were always right. Silence. And I was the only person who reminded you when you were wrong. Her eyes moved. That's why you chose him. I paused. Because he supported your pride. Another pause. Not because he supported you. For the first time, Olivia had no defense. She lowered her voice. Ethan, yes? Can we fix this? I looked at her. The question I once dreamed of hearing. The question I once waited years for. But now, it arrived too late. That I don't know? Her eyes widened. You don't know? I nodded. Because fixing something requires two people who want the same thing. I stood. You wanted power. I looked at her. I wanted a marriage. Then I walked away. Behind me, Olivia stayed silent. Because she finally understood. The hardest thing to lose wasn't her position, that wasn't her reputation, that wasn't Daniel. It was the one person who once believed in her before anyone else did. And she had destroyed him herself. That night, I received the final update. The second phase of the report had been reviewed. The conclusion was confirmed. But there was one more problem. A problem even I didn't expect. Someone had tried to delete the original evidence. Someone knew the report existed. Someone had been hiding the truth long before Daniel appeared. And the person who ordered the deletion was not Daniel. It was someone much closer. Someone Olivia trusted completely. Someone who could bring down everything she built. The name at the bottom of the deletion request changed everything. I stared at the document for nearly a minute. Not because I couldn't believe it, because a small part of me had hoped I was wrong. The person who ordered the removal of the original evidence was Olivia Walker. My wife. The woman who once promised she would never hide anything from me. The woman who looked me in the eyes and said, Ethan, honesty is the foundation of everything we have. Apparently, that only applied when honesty benefited her. I read the document again. The authorization code, the timestamp, the confirmation, everything matched. 3 years ago, after I completed the investigation, Olivia had requested access to the report. She had read everything. She knew Daniel was involved. She knew the risks. And instead of confronting him, she chose to erase the evidence. Not because she was unaware, not because she was tricked, because she made a decision. She protected him. I called Michael. He answered immediately. You saw it? Yes. There was silence. Then he sighed. Ethan, I didn't want you to find out like this. I looked at the document. Like what? That she knew. I closed my eyes. You knew? Yes. And you didn't tell me? Because Olivia asked me not to. I laughed quietly. Everyone had been protecting her. Everyone. Except me. The person she actually betrayed. Michael. Yes? Did she know I was the one who discovered everything? Another silence. Then, yes. That answer hurt more than I expected. Not because it surprised me, because it confirmed something. Olivia knew exactly what she was doing. She knew I was protecting her. She knew I had evidence. She knew I chose her. And she still chose Daniel. Thank you. I ended the call. Then I sat there. For the first time in days, I allowed myself to remember, not the betrayal, the good moments. Because that was the hardest part. People always thought the pain came from losing someone. They were wrong. The worst part was remembering why you loved them in the first place. 7 years ago, Olivia wasn't the person everyone knew today. She wasn't Captain Walker. She wasn't a symbol. She was just Olivia. A woman with ambition. A woman who worked harder than anyone. A woman who stayed late because she wanted to prove herself. I met her when almost everyone underestimated her. She had the talent, but she lacked confidence. Everyone saw her mistakes. Nobody saw her potential. Except me. I remember telling her, you're looking at the problem wrong. She looked frustrated. What does that mean? You're trying to prove you deserve the position. Yes, that's your mistake. She frowned. Why? Because the people who belong there don't ask permission. That night, she changed. She stopped trying to impress people. She started leading. And years later, she became exactly what she wanted. A captain. A leader. Someone everyone respected. But somewhere along the way, she forgot who believed in her before everyone else did. The next morning, Olivia came to see me. Again, but this time, I knew she already knew. She walked in. No confidence, no attitude, no anger. Just silence. She sat down. Ethan. I looked at her. Olivia. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she said, you found out. I nodded. Yes. She looked down. I was going to tell you. I almost smiled. When? She didn't answer. After everything was destroyed? Ethan. No. My voice remained calm. I want to know. She looked at me. When were you planning to tell me? Silence. That was her answer. I nodded. Exactly. She took a breath. I made a mistake. I looked at her. Point one. Her face changed. I know I hurt you. No. I shook my head. You hurt me when you chose Daniel. She looked at me. Then what? You destroyed my trust when you knew the truth and still lied. Her eyes became wet. I was trying To protect my career. There it was, the sentence she always returned to. Her career. I stared at her. Thank you. She looked confused. For what? For finally saying the truth. What? You weren't protecting me. I paused. You weren't protecting us. I looked directly at her. You were protecting yourself. She lowered her head, because she knew. Then she said something unexpected. I regretted. I remained silent. She continued. I regret trusting Daniel. I looked at her. That was interesting. Not. I regret hurting you. Not. I regret betraying you. She regretted trusting Daniel. Even now her regret was still about the wrong person. I asked. If Daniel had never betrayed you, she looked at me. Would you still regret what you did to me? She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. That silence was the answer. I stood. Olivia. Yes? The problem was never Daniel. Her eyes followed me. The problem was you. She looked shocked at me. Yes. I walked closer. You keep thinking Daniel ruined everything. I shook my head. He only showed me who you really were. That afternoon, the situation became worse. The report spread faster than anyone expected. People who had supported Olivia started asking questions. Not because they cared about me, because they were afraid. The project they thought was successful suddenly had hidden problems. The achievements they celebrated suddenly had unanswered questions. And the person who was supposed to have all the answers was Olivia. The same Olivia who had always looked untouchable. For the first time, people saw uncertainty. And uncertainty was dangerous for someone like her, because power depended on confidence. Once people stopped believing, power disappeared. Daniel came looking for Olivia, but she refused to see him. That was the first time. The first time she chose distance. Not because she suddenly understood everything, because she was afraid. Rachel told me. Daniel is angry. I looked at her. Why? He thinks Olivia is abandoning him. I smiled. Interesting. The man who convinced himself Olivia chose him because of love finally realized something. When power was threatened, people protected themselves first. Exactly what I had told him. That evening, Olivia called me. I didn't answer. She called again. I didn't answer. The third time, I finally picked up. Ethan, yes? Her voice was quiet. I need your help. I closed my eyes. There it was. The moment I expected. The moment she realized she couldn't solve everything alone. I asked. Why? Silence. Then, because you're the only person who can fix this. For a moment, I said. Nothing. Because those words, those exact words, were what I had waited years to hear. But they meant something different now. Before, they would have made me happy. Now, they only proved something. She didn't miss me. She missed what I could do. I answered. No. Her breathing stopped. No. No, Ethan. Please listen. I listened for 7 years. Silence. Now it's your turn. She whispered. What does that mean? I looked at the report. It means you built this problem. I paused. And now you finally have to face it. The next day, Olivia made a decision. A decision that shocked everyone. She removed Daniel from the project. For the first time, she admitted publicly. There were mistakes, but she still didn't tell the whole truth. She still protected herself. She still protected her image. And that was when I realized Olivia still hadn't learned the final lesson. She thought losing Daniel was the end of the problem. She was wrong. Because Daniel was only one part of the story. The real problem was the captain who believed she was above consequences. And soon everyone would see exactly how far she had fallen. Removing Daniel from the project was supposed to be Olivia's way of controlling the damage. That was how she thought. She believed every crisis had a solution. Every mistake had a correction. Every person could be replaced. And for most of her life, she had been right. Until now. Because this time, the problem was not Daniel. It was the truth. And truth was the one thing Olivia could never command. The announcement happened at noon. Olivia stood in front of everyone. The same people who once looked at her with admiration. The same people who once believed every decision she made was correct. But this time, the atmosphere was different. People were watching, waiting, questioning. After reviewing recent developments, Olivia said, Daniel Carter will no longer participate in the Horizon Initiative. No explanation, no details. Just a carefully prepared sentence. Daniel stood in the back of the room. His face was pale. He couldn't believe it. Because a few days earlier, he thought he was untouchable. He thought Olivia would protect him no matter what. He thought he had replaced me. Now he was standing there watching her remove him. And the worst part, he realized something. Olivia didn't remove him because she understood what he did. She removed him because he became a threat. A threat to her reputation. A threat to her position. A threat to everything she built. That realization hurt him more than losing the project, because he finally understood the truth. He was never her partner, he was her advantage. After the meeting, Daniel found Olivia. I wasn't there, but Rachel told me everything later. Daniel entered her office. He didn't ask permission. That alone showed how much his attitude had changed. A week ago, he walked in like someone who belonged there. Now, he walked in like someone desperate. Olivia, she looked up. What are you doing here? His expression changed. That question hurt him. What am I doing here? Yes, he laughed a bitter laugh. After everything? Olivia remained silent. You're really removing me. This is temporary. Temporary? Daniel stepped closer. That you're blaming me? She didn't answer. That was enough. His voice became louder. I thought you trusted me. Olivia looked away. Daniel. No, he shook his head. You said I was the person who understood you. Silence. You said I was the only one who supported you. Silence. You said Ethan never understood your ambition. That sentence made her freeze, because that was true. She had said those things many times. Daniel smiled. So what changed? Olivia looked at him. The report. Daniel laughed. No, he shook his head. The report didn't change anything. He pointed at her. You changed. That sentence was interesting, because for once Daniel said something correct. You don't care about me. Olivia's expression hardened. If that's not true, then why am I the first person you sacrifice? Silence. No answer. Because Daniel had finally asked the right question. That night, Rachel told me something important. Ethan, yes? Olivia is scared. I looked at her. Of what? Of losing everything. I nodded. Not me. Rachel became quiet. She knew what I meant. Because even now, Olivia's biggest fear was not losing her marriage. It was losing the empire she built. That was the difference. The difference between someone who loved you and someone who loved what you represented. 2 days later, Olivia requested another meeting. This time, she came alone. No documents, no conditions, no demands. She sat across from me. I fired. Daniel. I looked at her. I know. She seemed surprised. How? I smiled. You still think information only reaches you. She looked away. A small reminder. The world had changed. She no longer controlled every piece. I want you to come back. I didn't respond. She continued. Not as before. I waited. A partner. That sentence was almost funny. A partner. After everything. I asked. When did I stop being one? She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I nodded. Exactly. Ethan. No, I looked at her. You don't get to decide when I'm valuable. Her eyes became wet. I know I made mistakes. Yes. But I'm trying to fix them. I studied her. You're trying to fix the consequences. Silence. Not the choice. She looked at me. What's the difference? I answered immediately. The consequence is losing Daniel. I paused. The choice was choosing him over me. That sentence destroyed her defense. Because she knew. She could explain mistakes. She could explain pressure. She could explain fear. But she couldn't explain choosing someone else. Then she said something. I never expected. I thought you would always stay. I looked at her. Those words were honest, finally honest, and they explained everything. Not love, not trust, expectation. She didn't believe I would leave. She believed I was permanent, like an object, like something that belonged to her. I asked. Why? She looked confused. Why what? Why did you think I would stay? She didn't answer. So I continued. Because I always forgave you. Silence. Because I always supported you. Silence. Because I always put you first. Her eyes lowered. Yes. That single word told me everything. I laughed quietly. Olivia. Yes? Do you know what your biggest mistake was? She looked at me. You thought my loyalty meant I had no value. The room became silent. You thought because I chose you, I had no other choices. I stood. But you were wrong. That evening, something unexpected happened. The people who once ignored me started contacting me. Not because they suddenly cared. Because they discovered something. The report was only one piece of evidence. There were more. A lot more. And the biggest revelation was not about Daniel. It was about Horizon Initiative itself. The project everyone believed belonged to Olivia had another name attached to it. Mine. 3 years ago, I had intentionally removed my name. I didn't want recognition. I wanted Olivia to succeed. But now, when the original ownership records were restored, everyone saw the truth. The creator, the architect, the person behind the entire system, was Ethan Walker, not Captain Olivia Walker. The reaction was immediate. People who had praised Olivia started asking questions. Why was Ethan's name removed? Who approved the change? Why did Olivia present the project as her achievement? Nobody had answers, because the answer was uncomfortable. Olivia had not stolen my work intentionally, not at first, but over time she started believing it belonged to her, and that was even worse, because theft could be punished. But forgetting the person who helped you succeed was a different kind of betrayal. That night, Olivia called me again. This time, she didn't speak immediately. I answered, "Hello." Silence. Then, "Ethan." "Yes? Was it always you?" I knew what she meant. I looked at the documents in front of me. "Yes." Her breathing changed. "All these years?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" I smiled sadly. Because even now, she still didn't understand. Because I didn't marry you so I could compete with you. Silence. "I married you because I wanted to build something together." Her voice became quieter. "And now?" I looked out the window. "Now? I'm building something without you." She didn't speak for a long time. Then she whispered, "I lost you." I closed my eyes. Finally, after everything, she finally understood. But understanding something after destroying it was not the same as saving it. The next morning, a new announcement shocked everyone. A full review of Horizon Initiative would begin, and the person leading the review was me. For years, Olivia had stood above everyone, including me. Now the situation had reversed. The captain who believed she controlled everything had to face the one person she underestimated, the man she locked away, the man she betrayed, the man she thought she had already defeated. To me, Ethan Walker. The world had known Olivia Walker as a genius, the youngest captain, the woman who turned impossible projects into victories, the leader who never failed. For years, I watched people celebrate her. I watched them praise her intelligence. I watched them call her a legend. And every time someone asked what her secret was, she always gave the same answer: hard work. Nobody was wrong. Olivia worked hard. She was talented. She was ambitious. But everyone missed one important detail. Before Olivia Walker became a legend, there was Ethan Walker, the person who solved the problems nobody could see, the person who built the foundation nobody noticed, the person who stayed behind the curtain because he loved the woman standing in front of it. Until that woman decided I was no longer useful. The ownership review results were released at 9 o'clock a.m. Within an hour, my name appeared everywhere. Not because I wanted attention, not because I planned a dramatic return, but because facts were impossible to hide. The original Horizon Initiative documents were recovered. The design files, the strategy models, the risk calculations, the breakthrough solutions. Every important piece carried one name: Ethan Walker. People who had ignored me for years suddenly wanted answers. The same people who once called me Captain Walker's husband were now asking, "Who exactly is Ethan Walker?" Funny, for years, they knew my relationship with Olivia, but they never knew me. Rachel came to see me that afternoon. She looked at the documents on my desk. "I still can't believe it." That I looked up. "Believe what?" "That you never told anyone." I smiled. "About what?" "That you were the reason Horizon succeeded." That I leaned back. "Because I wasn't trying to become famous." Rachel shook her head. "I know. You were trying to protect Olivia." I didn't answer. Because she was right. 3 years ago, when Horizon became successful, several people suggested making my contribution public. I refused. When Olivia received awards, I stayed away. When people praised her, I smiled. Because seeing her happy was enough. At least, I thought it was enough. Until I realized something: that a person who truly values you will appreciate your sacrifice, that a person who only benefits from you will eventually forget it happened. That evening, Olivia came. She stood outside my office for several seconds before entering. I had never seen her hesitate before. Not once. Olivia Walker was always confident, always certain, always in control. But now, she looked like someone who finally realized she had lost something important. "Ethan." I looked at her. "Olivia." Her eyes moved toward the documents. "Oh, it was really you." "Yes." "The entire time?" "Yes." She slowly sat down. "I thought you were just helping me." I smiled slightly. "I was." But she stopped, because she finally understood the difference. Helping someone succeed didn't mean you had no value. I should have known. I looked at her. "Yes." She looked surprised. "You're not angry?" I thought about it. I was. She looked at me. Before. I continued. "But anger disappears when you finally accept the truth." "What truth?" I looked directly at her. "That the person you loved no longer exists." Her expression changed. Olivia lowered her head. "I made mistakes." Yes, that I hurt you. Yes, that I chose the wrong person. Yes. She looked up. Can you stop agreeing so easily? I was silent because she didn't want honesty. She wanted comfort. She wanted me to say, no, Olivia, you're not wrong. She wanted the old Ethan, the man who always forgave, the man who always stayed. But that person was gone. You know what hurts the most? She asked that I waited. I thought you would always be there. I nodded. That was your mistake. She looked confused. Why? Because you thought my love had no limit. Silence. You thought because I loved you, you could never lose me. Her eyes became wet. But everyone has a limit, Olivia. Meanwhile, Daniel was experiencing the opposite of what he expected. He thought becoming close to Olivia meant becoming powerful. He was wrong. Power borrowed from someone else always disappears when that person falls. The people who once surrounded him stopped answering. The opportunities disappeared. The respect vanished. He tried to contact Olivia. She refused. The man who once believed he replaced me finally understood. He wasn't chosen because he was special. He was chosen because he was convenient. 2 days later, Daniel appeared in front of me. He looked different. No confidence, no arrogance, only frustration. You ruined me. I looked at him. No, you exposed the report. Yes, you knew what would happen. Yes, that he stepped closer. Then you admitted. I shook my head. I exposed the truth. You destroyed everything. I looked at him. No, I pointed at the documents. You built everything on something that wasn't yours. His face changed. You think you won? No, I stood. I think you finally lost the illusion. What illusion? That you deserved the life you stole. That night, I received a message from Olivia. Only one sentence. I finally understand what I lost. I looked at it for a long time. Then I replied, you lost it when you chose to throw it away. The second phase of the investigation began 1 week later, and this time, nobody could ignore it. The first report exposed Daniel. The second report exposed the choices that allowed him to rise. And that was where Olivia's real problem began, because Daniel made mistakes. But Olivia made decisions. The announcement shocked everyone. The review concluded that Daniel had manipulated internal information. He had taken credit for work he didn't create. He had hidden important details. But the final conclusion included something else: leadership failure. And the person responsible? Olivia Walker. Not because she was involved in everything, because she ignored everything. She had warnings. She had evidence. She had opportunities to stop it. She chose not to. When Olivia read the final report, she didn't argue. That surprised everyone. She simply looked at the last page, again and again, because she saw something she couldn't escape. Her own signature. Her own approval, her own choices. The evidence wasn't attacking her. It was showing her who she had become. Rachel told me Olivia stayed alone in her office for hours. I wasn't surprised. For years, Olivia had been able to solve problems by pushing forward. But this problem was different. She couldn't defeat it because the enemy was not outside. It was her own reflection. Daniel tried one last time to save himself. He released a statement claiming Olivia forced him to make decisions. He tried to shift responsibility, but nobody believed him anymore because everyone saw the truth. Daniel only had power because Olivia gave it to him, and Olivia only lost everything because she protected him. That evening, Olivia came to me. She looked exhausted, not physically, emotionally. Ethan, yes? I want to apologize. I stayed silent. She continued, not because of the report. I looked at her. Then why? Because I finally understand. She took a breath. I wasn't afraid of losing you. Silence. I was afraid of losing everything else. That was the first honest thing she had said. I nodded. Yes. She looked at me. You knew? Yes. How? Because you never came to me after losing me. She froze. You came when you started losing power. No answer. Because it was true. I loved you. Her voice was quiet. I looked at her. I know, but I ruined everything. Yes. She closed her eyes. Can people change? I thought about it. Maybe. Hope appeared in her eyes. Then I continued. But changing doesn't erase what happened. The hope disappeared. Because she finally understood, regret was not the same as repair. A month later, the final decision was announced. Daniel was completely removed from Horizon. The project continued under my leadership. Olivia stepped away from her position temporarily. The woman who once controlled every decision now had to watch someone else lead. Someone she once thought was beneath her. On the final day before she left, Olivia met me one last time. She looked at me. I used to think you were lucky to have me. I said nothing. She smiled sadly. Now I know. She paused. I was lucky to have you. I looked at her. But I didn't answer, because some realizations arrived too late. Some apologies cannot rebuild what was destroyed. And some people only understand your value after they lose the right to have it. 3 months after the Horizon Initiative investigation ended, I thought Olivia Walker had finally accepted reality that I was wrong. Not because she returned to her old ways. Not because she tried to control the situation again. But because Olivia had changed in a way I never expected. She stopped fighting everyone else. She started fighting herself. And sometimes, that was the hardest battle a person could face. When I first saw Olivia again, I almost didn't recognize her. Not because she looked different. She was still the same woman. Same sharp eyes, same calm expression, same confidence that once made everyone follow her. But something was missing. The certainty, the belief that she was always right. For the first time in years, Olivia Walker looked like someone who was questioning her own choices. She stood outside my office, waiting, not demanding. Waiting. That alone told me how much had changed. Ethan. I looked up from the documents in my hand. Olivia. She walked in slowly. I need to talk to you. I continued reading. About what? She hesitated. About the final review. I put the document down. What about it? She sat across from me. I want to tell the truth. I looked at her. That answer surprised me. Not because I didn't believe she was capable of honesty, because for a long time, honesty was the one thing she avoided. What changed? She looked down. Everything. 3 months ago, Olivia would have said, I can fix this. She would have said, I can control the situation. She would have blamed circumstances. She would have blamed Daniel. She would have blamed pressure. But now, she blamed herself. I spent my whole life believing strength meant never admitting mistakes. She looked at me. I thought leaders couldn't show weakness. I stayed silent. She continued, but I was wrong. Why? She gave a small bitter smile. Because the strongest person I knew was standing beside me for years. My expression didn't change, and I treated him like he was invisible. Those words were honest, finally honest. But honesty after destruction was different. I want to correct the record. I looked at her. Why? Because it's the right thing. I studied her face. For once, I believed her. Not because I trusted her again. That would take much more. But because I could see she was no longer trying to protect her image. She was tired of protecting a version of herself that wasn't real. You know what happens if you do that? She nodded. Yes, you lose more. Yes, your reputation. Yes, your position. Yes, she looked at me. But I already lost the thing that mattered most. I didn't answer, because I knew what she meant. Me. The next day, Olivia held a public meeting. Everyone expected excuses. Nobody expected what happened. She stood in front of the same people who once admired her, the same people who once believed she was untouchable, and she admitted everything. Not every detail, not everything that happened between us, but enough that I made decisions that were influenced by personal trust instead of objective judgment. The room became silent. I ignored warnings. She paused. I allowed someone's personal relationship with me to affect professional decisions. Nobody spoke, because everyone understood what she meant. Daniel. Then she said the sentence nobody expected. I failed the people who trusted me. After the meeting, many people criticized her. Some said she should have admitted it earlier. Some said she should have prevented everything. They were right. But for the first time, Olivia didn't fight back. She accepted it. That was the difference. The old Olivia cared about being seen as perfect. The new Olivia understood that perfection was impossible. That evening, she came to see me again. You watched. I nodded. Yes. What did you think? I looked at her. About what? About what I said. I thought for a moment. Then answered honestly. I believed you. Her eyes moved slightly. But I continued. But believing your apology doesn't mean returning to the past. She nodded. I understand. That answer surprised me. Before, she would have argued. Before, she would have tried to convince me. Now, she accepted. You really changed. She smiled sadly. No, she looked at me. I think I finally stopped pretending. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Olivia asked, do you remember our first year together? I looked away. Yes, I used to think you were the calmest person I knew. I smiled slightly. I was. She laughed softly. You still are? Then her expression changed. But I didn't understand why. I looked at her. Why? Because you were confident. Silence. I thought you were calm because you didn't care about anything. She looked down, but I was wrong. I waited. You were calm because you knew who you were. That sentence stayed between us. Because that was exactly what Olivia never understood. My confidence never came from power. My power came from knowing my worth. That a few days later, Daniel tried contacting Olivia. Again, this time, she answered. Not because she missed him, because she wanted closure. I wasn't there. But she told me what happened. Daniel asked, "Do you hate me?" Olivia said, "No." He was surprised. "Then why did you abandon me?" She answered, "Because I finally realized you were never the person I thought you were." Daniel laughed at us. So Ethan was right? She remained silent, then said, "No." Daniel paused. "No." Ethan wasn't trying to prove he was right. She looked at him that he was trying to protect me. That was the truth. Daniel could never understand. I never fought him because I wanted Olivia. I fought because Olivia was destroying herself. Weeks passed. New leadership of Horizon became stable. The project grew faster than before. Not because I was better than Olivia, because I had learned something important that a leader needed more than ambition. They needed honesty. They needed people who challenged them, not people who simply made them feel powerful. One evening, Olivia came to my office for the last time. At least, that was what she said. "I'm leaving." I looked at her. "Where?" "Somewhere I can start again." I nodded. "That's good." She smiled. "I thought you would ask me to stay." I looked at her. "Would that change anything?" She became quiet. "No, exactly. Some things couldn't be repaired by staying. Some distances were created by choices." Before she left, she gave me something. A small box. I opened it. Inside was my old wedding ring. The one I stopped wearing after everything happened. I kept it. I looked at her. "Why?" "Because even when I was wrong." She paused. "I knew what we had was real." I closed the box. "Olivia." "Yes? I don't regret loving you." Her eyes became wet. "But I regret losing myself while doing it." That was the one thing I needed her to understand. Love should never require someone to disappear. She nodded. "I'm sorry." This time, I believed she meant it. Not because I would return, not because everything was fixed, but because she finally understood. The man she locked away was never her enemy. The man she pushed aside was never her weakness. The man she thought she could replace was the one person who truly wanted her to succeed. After Olivia left, I stood alone in my office. Months ago, I was a man trapped in a room because I refused to raise another man's child. Now, I was leading the project everyone thought belonged to her. Funny how quickly life changed. But I didn't feel victorious. Because winning against someone you once loved never felt like winning. It felt like closing a chapter. And that was exactly what I did. I closed the chapter of Ethan Walker, the man who lived for Olivia. And I started the chapter of Ethan Walker, the man who finally lived for himself. 6 months after Olivia Walker left, most people thought the story was over. They were wrong. Because losing power was not the hardest thing Olivia had to face. The hardest thing was watching someone she once looked down on become the person everyone respected. To me, Ethan Walker. The man she believed would always stand behind her. The man she believed would never leave. The man she thought she could replace. Horizon Initiative changed completely after I took over. Not because I wanted to erase Olivia's achievements. I didn't. That was never my goal. Olivia was talented. She worked hard. She deserved credit for what she accomplished. But the difference between us was simple. I wanted the truth. She wanted the image. And eventually, the truth always wins. Within 6 months, the project reached levels nobody expected. The same people who once questioned my ability now came to me for decisions. The same people who ignored my opinions now waited for my approval. But I never forgot what happened, because success wasn't the reason I changed. Betrayal was. One morning, Rachel came to my office. She looked happier than before. "Ethan." "Rachel." She placed a document on my desk. "What is this?" "An update." I opened it. The results of the latest project evaluation. Everything was better than expected. I nodded. "Good." Rachel smiled. "You know what's interesting?" "What?" "Olivia would have celebrated this for days." I looked at her. "She earned the right." Rachel shook her head. "No." She pointed at the document. "She would have celebrated because everyone would see her success." I didn't answer, because I knew what Rachel meant. Olivia was never afraid of failure. She was afraid of losing the image of success. A week later, I received an unexpected call. "Olivia." I stared at the screen. 6 months ago, I would have answered immediately. Now, I waited. Not because I wanted revenge, because I no longer depended on her. Finally, I answered. "Hello." Silence. Then, "Ethan." "Yes? I heard about Horizon. I see that it's doing well." Yes, another silence. Then she said, I'm happy for you. That surprised me. Not because she said it, because I believed her. Thank you. She took a breath. I used to think your success would hurt me. I stayed quiet. But it doesn't. Why? Because I finally understand. She paused. You weren't trying to defeat me. I looked out the window. No, you were trying to survive. Yes. Her voice became softer, and I was the person who made you need to. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Olivia asked, Do you hate me? The question was simple, but the answer wasn't. I thought about everything. The betrayal, the humiliation, the confinement. The moment she asked me to raise another man's child. The moment she chose Daniel. Then I answered, No. She seemed surprised. No, I don't hate you. Why? Because hate means I still want something from you. Silence. And I don't. Those words were honest, and they hurt. I knew they did, because Olivia finally understood. The opposite of love wasn't hate. It was indifference. A month later, Olivia returned. Not permanently, just for a meeting. The moment she entered the building, people noticed. Some whispered, some stared, because everyone remembered. The legendary captain, the woman who once controlled everything, the woman who lost everything. But when Olivia walked past them, she didn't look angry. She didn't look embarrassed. She looked calm. That was new. The meeting was about the future of Horizon. Olivia was invited because, despite everything, her experience still mattered. When she entered the room, everyone became quiet. She looked at me. I nodded. Olivia. Ethan. For a second, it felt like the past. Two partners discussing a project, but only for a second, because we both knew. Things had changed. During the meeting, one executive asked, Captain Walker, do you regret trusting Daniel Carter? Everyone became silent. It was a difficult question. A year ago, Olivia would have avoided it. Now, she answered directly. Yes. The room remained quiet. I regret ignoring the warning signs. She looked at me. I regret believing someone who made me feel powerful instead of someone who made me better. Nobody spoke, because everyone understood who she meant. After the meeting, Olivia found me alone. You handled that well. I looked at her. So did you? She smiled. Old me would have been angry, yes. New me understands. I nodded. That was progress, real progress. Then she asked, Do you think I deserve another chance? I knew exactly what she meant. Not the project, not the position. Us. I was silent for a long time. Finally, I said, Everyone deserves a chance to become better. Hope appeared in her eyes. Then I continued. But becoming better doesn't mean returning to what you destroyed. The hope faded, but she didn't argue. She just nodded. I understand. That was the biggest change in Olivia. Before, she wanted forgiveness because she wanted things back. Now, she wanted forgiveness because she finally understood what she had done, and that difference mattered. Meanwhile, Daniel tried to rebuild his life, but the world had changed. The same doors that once opened for him were closed. The same people who praised him ignored him, because everyone finally knew the truth. Daniel wasn't powerful. He was simply standing next to someone powerful. And when Olivia fell, he fell with her. One evening, I received a final message from Daniel. You won. I looked at the words, then replied. No. A minute later, he answered. What do you mean? I wrote. I didn't win because you lost. I won because I stopped allowing you to decide my value. There was no response, because there was nothing else to say. That night, I thought about everything. The man I used to be. The husband who believed love meant sacrifice. The man who thought supporting someone meant disappearing behind them. That man was gone. And maybe that was the biggest lesson. Sometimes people don't destroy you because they hate you. Sometimes they destroy you because they forget your value. And sometimes the greatest revenge isn't watching them fall, but it's watching yourself rise after they try to bury you. Olivia once locked me away because I refused to accept another man's child. She thought she was punishing me. She thought she was teaching me a lesson. She never realized something. The moment she closed that door, she didn't trap me. She freed me, because behind that door, I finally stopped being Olivia Walker's husband. And I became Ethan Walker, the person I was always meant to be. 1 year after everything happened, people stopped talking about the scandal. That was how the world worked. People moved on. New stories replaced old ones. New names appeared. New successes attracted attention. But for Olivia Walker, the past never really disappeared, because unlike everyone else, she remembered every decision, every moment, every choice, especially the one choice that changed everything, choosing Daniel over me. When Olivia left, I thought I would never hear from her again, and honestly, I was fine with that. Not because I hated her, not because I wanted her to suffer, because I finally understood something. Some relationships end not because there is no love. They end because trust becomes impossible to rebuild. And without trust, love becomes a memory. My life after Olivia changed completely. Horizon grew faster than anyone expected that I started working with people who respected my decisions. People who challenged my ideas. People who saw me as Ethan Walker, not someone's husband, not someone standing behind another person. Just me. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to prove my value that I already knew at point one afternoon. Rachel visited my office. She looked different, more relaxed. Ethan, Rachel. She sat down. I saw Olivia yesterday. I paused. How is she? Rachel smiled sadly. That's the interesting part. What? She's doing better. I nodded. That's good. Rachel looked surprised. That you're not angry? No, after everything? I looked at her. Yes. Rachel was quiet. Then she said, you really changed. I smiled. No, she frowned. No. I finally stopped pretending. Rachel looked at the window. Oh, you know what Olivia said? What? She said the hardest part wasn't losing her position. I waited. She said the hardest part was realizing the one person who believed in her first was gone. I didn't answer, because I knew that feeling. Not because I missed her, because I remembered who she used to be. A few days later, I met Olivia again, not by accident. She requested the meeting. When she entered the room, she looked calmed. At no sadness, no desperation, just acceptance. Ethan, Olivia. She sat down. For a moment, we simply looked at each other. Two people who once thought they would spend their entire lives together, now sitting across from each other like strangers. That I wanted to thank you. That I was surprised. For what? For not destroying me. That I looked at her. She continued. You had every reason. That I shook my head. Know why? Because destroying you wouldn't give me back what I lost. Her eyes changed. That answer hurt her more than anger, because it showed something. That I had truly moved on. Olivia lowered her head. That I used to think you were weak. That I said nothing. That I thought, because you didn't fight back. You didn't have power. She smiled bitterly. But I was wrong. That I looked at her. Yes, she nodded. You were the strongest person around me. Silence. And I was too arrogant to see it. Then she said something I never expected. Daniel contacted me. I looked at her. What did he want? She smiled. The same thing everyone wants when they lose. Everything. What? A way back. I nodded. What did you say? I refused. That answer surprised me. Not because I thought she would accept, because a year ago, she would have. Why? Olivia looked at me. Because I finally understand the difference between someone who loves me. She paused. And someone who loves what I can give them. I didn't say anything. Because that was the lesson she needed to learn. Daniel's downfall continued quietly. He tried different ways to rebuild. New connections, new opportunities, new promises, but nothing worked. Because reputation was something you built slowly and destroyed quickly. Everyone remembered what happened. Everyone remembered how he rose. Everyone remembered how he fell. One evening, Olivia called me. Her voice sounded different. What happened? She laughed softly. You always know when something is wrong. I smiled. Old habit, silence. Then she said, I received an invitation. For what? A leadership conference. I nodded. That's good. Yes. She paused. But my name wasn't included because I was Captain Walker. I understood. Then why? Because of my experience. That was a big difference. Before, Olivia wanted people to admire her title. Now, people respected what she learned, not what she represented. Ethan. Yes. Do you think I changed enough? I thought about it, then answered honestly, I think you're trying. She was quiet. I asked that enough? I looked at the city outside. For a new beginning. I paused, but not for returning to the past. She understood. I know. A year earlier, Olivia thought losing Daniel was her biggest punishment. She was wrong. The biggest punishment was understanding the value of something after losing it. She had chosen someone who made her feel powerful. She lost someone who made her powerful. That was the difference. The final time I saw Olivia was at a charity event that we were both invited. When she saw me, she smiled. Not the confident smile from before. Not the forced smile she used when people watched. A real smile. Ethan, Olivia. She looked at me. You look happy. I am. She nodded. I'm glad. For a moment, we stood there silently. Then she said, I used to think my biggest achievement was becoming Captain Walker. I waited. Now I think my biggest mistake was forgetting Ethan Walker. I looked at her. That's in the past. Yes, she smiled. but I needed to say it. I nodded. Thank you. That night, I realized something. The woman who once broke my life was no longer my enemy. She was simply someone from my past, a person who taught me the most painful lesson: never sacrifice yourself completely for someone who doesn't value you. I didn't win because Olivia lost. I didn't rise because she fell. I rose because I finally understood something: that my worth was never determined by whether someone recognized it. Not Olivia, not Daniel, not anyone. It was always there. I just spent too many years waiting for someone else to see it. And that was the end of the story everyone knew. The story of Captain Olivia Walker, the story of Daniel Carter, the story of the report that destroyed everything. But for me, it was something else. It was the story of the day I finally stopped being someone's shadow and became myself. 2 years after everything happened, most people had forgotten the details. They forgot the arguments. They forgot the rumors. They forgot the headlines. That was normal. The world always moved forward. But some people carried certain moments forever. Olivia Walker was one of those people. And so was I. The difference was I carried the memory as a lesson. She carried it as a regret that my life had completely changed. Horizon Initiative became one of the most successful projects in its field. But the biggest change wasn't the success. It was the person I became. 2 years earlier, I was sitting in a locked room because I refused to accept a life built on someone else's betrayal. 2 years later, I was leading the same project everyone once thought belonged to someone else. The irony was obvious. The man Olivia tried to silence became the person everyone wanted to hear. One morning, Rachel visited me. She had become one of the few people from my old life who remained in contact. Ethan, Rachel, she smiled. You know what Olivia said yesterday? I looked at her. What? She said you were right. I smiled slightly. That must have been difficult for her. Rachel laughed. You have no idea. Olivia admitting someone else was right used to be almost impossible, especially admitting that person was me. What did she say exactly? Rachel looked thoughtful. She said, I spent years trying to become someone everyone respected. I forgot the one person who respected me before I had anything. I didn't answer, because that sentence explained everything. Later that week, Olivia requested a meeting. I accepted, not because I wanted anything, not because I was hoping for something, because I was no longer afraid of the past. When she entered my office, she looked peaceful, not happy, not sad, just peaceful. That was new. Ethan, Olivia. She looked around. You built this. I nodded. Yes. She smiled. I remember when you told me you didn't care about recognition. I didn't. Do you still feel that way? I thought for a moment. Yes. She looked surprised. After everything? Yes. I leaned back. Recognition was never the reason I worked. Then what was? I answered, creating something meaningful. She nodded. That's the difference between us. I looked at her. What do you mean? I wanted people to know I was successful. She paused. You wanted the work itself to succeed. For the first time, I saw Olivia without the weight of pride. Just a person. A person who finally understood. I owe you more than an apology. I looked at her. What do you mean? I owe you the truth. I waited. She took a breath. When Daniel entered my life, I thought he understood me. Silenced, I thought he admired the parts of me nobody else saw. She smiled sadly. But he only admired the parts that benefited him. I said nothing. And you? She looked at me. You saw my weaknesses. Yes. You saw my mistakes. Yes. And you still stayed. Yes. Her eyes became emotional. That was real love. I didn't respond. Because I knew. But knowing something and rebuilding something were different. Do you ever regret us? The question came quietly. I looked at her. The old me would have answered immediately. The old me would have searched for a way to comfort her. But I wasn't that person anymore. I regret what happened. She nodded. But not loving you. I thought about it. No, her eyes moved. That I don't regret loving you. Why? Because at that time, you were someone worth loving. She looked down. And now? I answered honestly. Now, we are just different people. That answer was painful. But it was also fair. Sometimes people wanted forgiveness to mean they could return. But forgiveness wasn't a doorway. Sometimes it was just a way to close a chapter without carrying anger. A few weeks later, Olivia made a major decision. She started a new project, not under her old identity, not using her previous reputation. She started from the beginning. No shortcuts, no borrowed success, no Daniel, no pretending. When I heard about it, I smiled, because finally, she was becoming the person I always believed she could be, not the person everyone admired, the person she truly was. The final time we spoke was almost a year later. We met at a quiet restaurant, no drama, no arguments, no painful memories. Just two people talking about life. You seem happy. Olivia smiled that I am. Good. She looked at me. What about you? I am too. She nodded that I'm glad. There was a long silence. Then she said, Ethan, yes? Thank you. For what? For leaving. I was surprised. She smiled that if you had stayed, she paused that I would have continued believing I could hurt you and never lose you. I looked at her that that's true. She nodded. You leaving was the first time I understood the consequences of my choices. Before we separated, she said, I used to think losing you was the worst thing that happened to me. I waited. Now I think the worst thing was the person I became before I lost you. That was the most honest thing Olivia had ever said, and maybe the most important, because sometimes people don't need someone else to punish them. They need to finally see themselves clearly. That night, I walked home alone. Not lonely, just alone. There was a difference. 2 years earlier, I thought losing my marriage meant losing everything. That I was wrong, that I lost a relationship. But I found myself that I lost someone who valued my ability. But I found people who valued me. I lost the life I thought I wanted, but I gained the life I actually deserved. People still told the story differently. Some said, Ethan Walker destroyed Captain Olivia's career. Others said, Olivia Walker lost everything because of one mistake. But I knew the truth. The report didn't destroy them. The report only revealed what was already there. The lies, the choices, the betrayal. The truth had always existed. It just needed someone brave enough to show it. Olivia once locked me away because I refused to raise another man's child. She thought she was punishing me. She thought she was proving she had control, but she never understood something. The moment she closed that door, she gave me the chance to stop living for someone else. She gave me the chance to rebuild. She gave me the chance to become who I was always supposed to be. My name is Ethan Walker. I was once known as Captain Olivia Walker's husband, the man standing behind her, the man nobody noticed. But that was never who I was. I was the person who built the foundation. I was the person who carried the weight. I was the person who stayed loyal until loyalty became impossible. And when I finally walked away, the world didn't end. Mine finally began.